Good evening, everybody. We've got here a 1v1 on Ghost Lake between Hera here in the red playing as the Franks and Villese playing as the Teutons in the blue. Of course, Hera is playing on his We Win Those account. So Ghost Lake, very important right off the bat. Of course, we want to be collecting up these sheep in the middle as much as possible, as quickly as possible, and making sure to get that big food advantage. As you can see, there's quite a few sheep scattered around. Hera already scouting and just missing those sheep there, just missing these sheep here. Will he miss these? Oh, he does collect those ones at least. And both players looking to collect them up as quickly as possible. And not quite engaging as of yet. So, Franks, obviously well known for being one of the best cavalry civilizations in the game. They do have their eco bonuses with forage bushes, the farm upgrades, so that does help them out quite a bit. And then the Teutons on the other side, they do also have the farm bonus, and they are fairly good for cavalry and also strong when it comes to infantry, but likely we will see cavalry out of both these players. Of course, Ghost Lake, you cannot wall in the middle here. You cannot build buildings on this icy terrain. It is really only useful for collecting up the sheep, and it leaves the map a lot more open than other traditional maps that would traditionally be able to be walled off a little bit easier. Of course, players will be still walling off on the front, as we do see a barracks going down for the Frank player Hera, and nothing in response as of yet for the Teutons. Already using up the bonus to collect up those berries as well. One thing to note, of course, no militia out yet for Hera. There we go, he's just making them now. He is slightly slower to the next age, but that is to be expected, of course, when you're building up militia. We'll see whether or not Villese will scout that barracks. He's running right underneath the town center. Big mistake there, as he does lose some HP. I'm going to slow it down to regular speed now, as the stable is already going up for Villese, so he will be in a comfortable position to combat against these militia, who may be upgraded to man-at-arms. Likely will see just remaining as militia for the time being. But neither of these villagers will be under too much pressure. Scout, of course, looking to block as much as possible, but will be within town center fire close enough, and these militia will be unable to do any damage, but are able to deny the wall off from the villager, and still not taking many arrow shots, if any. And this villager will go down to the scout, having to delete the market. That is a massive loss, and still loses the villager. That is huge. Well, not worth it when you have to delete that and you still lose the villager. That is a horrible situation for Villese to start out in. Of course, villager-wise, he is already one behind now, barely keeping up, and having to wall up as much as possible. 3 scouts, though, able to engage pretty comfortably against the enemy. But we already see some archers coming forward for the Franks and a spearman in defense. So unlikely that at this point in time these scouts will be able to do too much damage, especially with the huge walls coming up for Hera. I mean, if you look, how quick would it be to wall here? But very difficult to start those repairs if the attacks do come in. And now we have 4 scouts here for Villese, and putting up an archery range already. Once an archer or 2 come out, they will be able to take out these man-at-arms and the scout fairly easy, especially with that lower HP on the scout. Getting a couple free hits. Not a great engagement there for Villese. Hera able to react quickly. Doesn't lose a scout. Doesn't lose any HP still on these man-at-arms. And that archery range will go up. We will see some archers pumped out. But already 2 archers, 2 spearmen moving forward for Hera, and this is going to be trouble for Villese. Villese smartly deciding to take out the buildings here, allow his villagers who are collecting gold to run away. Does lose one immediately, which is obviously going to set him back even more. That is a 3 villager lead right now that Hera has. And already we see skirmishers coming out, and let's see what sort of reaction we can get out of Hera, who is already in a massive, massive lead. Loses the scout, but at this point in time, Hera's done most of the scouting that is necessary. And so at this point in time, the scout is not quite as important since he is deciding not to go for his scout build. Villese in a little bit of a strange situation. He doesn't have food, he doesn't have gold, he can't look at clicking up anytime soon. He has a worse economy than what Hera has against him. And now engaging, good engagement there with the scouts, running around, letting the scouts soak up some of damage, but a little bit of a misplay there as the man-at-arms are able to clean up the scouts, able to engage against that archer, and of course skirmishers much weaker against man-at-arms than archers are. And now Villese thinking of running across, but he is going to find a fully walled Hera. Not much he can do to engage against this. There's even safe wood lines in the back, out of range of any archers or skirmishers. One thing to note, with this aggression, Villese still not fully walled off in his base. That could be problematic later on if we do see Castle Age leading to knights. That is still a long ways away for Hera, but of course will eventually be on the table. Especially when you're playing as the Franks, you want to be throwing out those knights if possible. And able to sneak in actually a little bit further than I imagined. I do have the tall tree mod still on. Able to do a little bit of wasted time. Nothing too crazy though. And nothing too engaging from these skirmishers. That villager wasted time is very insignificant when you consider all of the time spent by villagers for Villese building up that gate, building up that blacksmith. So when you're in a situation like Villese is right now, you've got a couple of choices. One is you either go full all-in aggression or you go for a massive boom. And right now I don't know if he's in a position to be doing either of those things. He is behind. He will be slightly behind getting up to the next age, it looks like, as Hera will be clicking up shortly. He does have the army to clear out these skirmishers, and Hera's on his way to the next age. Villese now just slightly behind and will lose these skirmishers, likely lose this archer too. The wolf even helping out the archers of Hera. And now Villese is almost, yes, he is fully walled in. He has this little gate, this little awkward area there. And the skirmisher now getting targeted by that same wolf that just took out his archer. That skirmisher likely won't make it home. Does, I'll be very, very surprised. And interesting enough, right now, I don't believe that there's a stable for the Frank player. So Hera deciding to stay with the archer line for now. We might see some knights coming out for the Teutons though. Obviously with that stable already built with the scouts, there's now a second stable, so definitely going to see some knights coming through. Both of the players will hit the Castle Age at a fairly similar time. Of course, bit of a difference of 2 villagers, so either of these players could outboom the other depending on when and where town centers get placed. With 2 stable knight production, hard to say whether Villese will be able to keep up production of another 2 town centers. Unlikely to see 2 right off the bat. these skirms do engage against these archers before they get upgraded to crossbow. Villese, well aware of the upgrades that will be coming in, wanting to take out and do as much damage as possible against these archers before they're upgraded, before they have the more range, more attack, and the stronger units altogether. And now that they are stronger, he is having to run back. Of course, this number of crossbows can even engage against 1-2 knights at a time. No problem, they will be able to take them out very well. These skirmishers now disappearing, and Hera looking to boom up. He's got his third town center. Second town center for Villese, but as mentioned before, the eco is just not there for the third yet to keep up knight and siege production. And so Villese will be slightly behind and falling faster behind when it comes to any upgrades for economy, but Hera will likely, with the 3-town center boom, fall a little bit behind with the production of military. The difference, of course, being the military for Hera was already at a pretty significant size before the Castle Age was hit, and those archers were able to maintain damage. Picking off another villager here with the crossbows, and more knights coming out. See if they can pick off some of these smaller groups. Obviously, with crossbows, you want them in clumps. You want them all grouped together so they can one-shot these knights and not allow the knights to get in close. But with this mangonel coming up behind, the crossbows will have to run, continue to run. They are unable to hide in a corner and get that low surface area that you want to get when you're fighting up against melee units such as knights. So great position there for Villese, cleaning up those crossbows. Those crossbows are all going to go down now. Now a wolf helping out Villese a little bit. And Hera loses the majority of his army. He is down to 3 military, 5 now, as a couple more archers are made. But this is the biggest difference. 9 villager lead for Hera. Hera is producing out of all 3 of his town centers. Still just the 2 for Villese. And when we take a look, Villese just doesn't have the economy to be pushing out 2 knights at a time as well as 3 villagers. But he's going to go for it. He's putting up his 3rd town center now, severely housed as he does frantically put a house up in the south side. Will eventually get the houses up and will get the town center up. But this is his opportunity now to do damage. He needs to do damage against the Frank player who already has... Is that a relic in there? Or is that... It is already a relic in the monastery. So he is Hera is collecting gold for free right now. And that is going to continue to trickle in for the remainder of the game. It's a very safe monastery right now, either way. Of course, when engaging against knights, you want to have monks out. Conversion so strong, and the Franks looking to put out their own knights in front of the crossbows, add a little bit of support in front melee attack. It will make a large difference as Villese going forward. It's interesting to see where he's going to decide to go with those 2 villagers there. What he's going to do, maybe drop a tower forward or something along those lines. Hard to say at this point in time. Doesn't quite have the stone for it, so it will just be a forward siege workshop. Militarily, Hera still has the numbers advantage, the difference being 14 of those are crossbows. And when caught out, these crossbows could all fall down, but able to squeeze into those tight areas. The monks not doing too much here on the side of Villese, and much more of an impact those 2 monks for Hera. That switches the game. And right now we see Villese, he does take out most of the army of Hera, but at what cost? He does not have the economy to be rebuilding it, as he is 20 villagers short of where Hera is at right now. Both players very low for military. Villese with a 1 military advantage. That is, for all intents and purposes, not worth too much of a difference at this point in the game. A couple monks here just sitting. I'd love to see these monks that are not participating in the engagements right now collect up this relic. Just get that extra little bit of gold. Every little bit can help at this point in the game. Now we are at a little bit of a stalemate situation, as Villese has been very aggressive since the initial aggression of the archers that Hera did move forward. And Villese still on the 3 town centers, Hera still on the 3 town centers as well. And Villese choosing to engage running underneath the town center. I don't know how I feel about that move. Not a big fan of it. Lost a lot of HP for free and needs to get that control back under his belt. One big difference, of course, now being quite a bit. Oh my goodness, I think Hera just double-clicked by accident. That is such a painful thing to see. I hate it when that happens. Monks right now able to engage just enough, but look at this mess of a gold pile for Hera. He's repairing the villagers, losing villagers as well, now building a castle at home. He's doing a little bit of a panic here, as you know, he might need to. Big mistake there with the Mangonels taking out quite a bit of HP of those knights. But the knights able to engage a little bit underneath the town centers, not quite enough though, as more damage is done. These knight numbers are dwindling fast, so fast right now. Smart of Hera to jump in and jump out with those crossbows, able to target the Mangonels a little bit easier with the crossbows running in and out of the town centers. Of course, that gives a little bit of an advantage as well, but this is 3 Mangonels you need to micro against. Castle will, of course, help quite a bit with defense, but only so much it can do until you reach the Imperial Age, which is on the way shortly for both players. Of course, Hera being a little bit faster with that better economy right now. But Villese able to catch up slightly. Lots of villager kills there. Lots of wasted time from Hera. And now only a 13 villager lead. I say only, of course, 13 being such a massive number still. But 13 villager lead for Hera. And Villese looking to get back into this. A couple of really good shots. And this Mangonel just barely stays up. Was within range of the town center for a little while there. We do see Hera looking to expand, adding in pikes, adding in another town center down in the south, and these pikes being so devastating when you're just working with Mangonels and Knights. Pikes can take them out very easily. Not too much right now that Villese can do to engage against those pikes, as another town center is going up for him as well. And still not too much going on back at home, as we see a castle now going up. This being, of course, a ranked game, not a tournament game. I'd love to see some Teutonic Knights coming out with that castle once it does come up. Teutonic Knights so strong against pikemen, just unbelievable. Even against halberdiers, very, very strong. But that's a very long ways away. As the university goes up, the pikemen run in. They engage with the knights. Knights able to do their damage, but at what cost? Such a more expensive unit the knight is than the pikeman. You can stream pikemen across all day. Knights a little bit more difficult to keep that up. I'd like to see a little bit more coming out with a new sort of defense or new aggression from Villese. Obviously, knowing that halberdiers are going to be backing up those crossbows, this is a very non-traditional Frankish approach to the engagements, but has worked out so far. And now Villese having to fall back. The Helbs able to engage against these knights. Knights not yet cavaliers, so of course very difficult to engage against Helbs when you are playing with only castle age knights. And already we see a trebuchet coming out for Hera. He will be taking out this first siege workshop right off the bat, making sure that that is no longer any issue for him. And on this southwestern side of Hera's base, he has expanded his economy quite a bit. He is dropping more castles to provide extra defense to his economy, and we just see the one castle right now for Villese. So Villese will remain protected, but not sure what exactly his move is. We do see Teutonic Knights out, and obviously 12 plus 2 attack, 80 HP, 5 plus 1 defense. That is massive. You compare that to a Halberdier, much lower stats. These four able to engage so well. The crossbow is obviously very strong against the slow moving Teutonic Knights, but with proper micro, Teutonic Knights and Knights able to do quite a bit of damage against the current composition of Hera. But of course the issue being Teutonic Knights can only be made out of castles, and only one castle up right now for Villese. And Hera, not too nervous about these halberdiers, able to engage underneath the castle. Doesn't make a big difference realistically, as the forward siege workshop is down, and we now see a switch back into archery range units, and we see the switch to hand cannoneers. Of course, hand cannons so strong against Teutonic Knights, so strong against, I guess, infantry in general, and if they are able to be microed well, do quite a bit of damage. So that is a great shot from the onager, and the halberdiers able to just outrun the Teutonic Knights for now. And both players sitting back a little bit, wanting to expand their economies and keep an eye out what exactly is going on around them. Hera doing a fantastic job of booming, and Villese looking to catch up as much as possible. But both players very high villager counts, and looking to get to that point where probably not going to want to invest too much more in building up the villager counts. Once you get to 130 vills in these sort of situations, you don't want to be overproducing villagers, because then you will not have the proper military to engage. And these Teutonic Knights now getting upgraded to elite. Elite Teutonic Knights. You never see these in high level play. Such a favorite among fans. The unit is fantastic, but able to do so much damage, but just so slow moving. Just such a slow unit. As we see light cavalry and hand cannons for Hera. Hera has been throwing out everything this game. Such a wide variety of units coming forward, and these hand cannons will be able to fight back both the onagers and the Teutonic Knights, especially with the light cav in front to protect the onagers as much as possible. But very difficult to micro against multiple onagers. The light cav do take them out, able to do quite a bit of damage, but on the northwest of that fight, we see another one taking out a trebuchet. That first trebuchet falls, the second one loses half of its HP in just one shot. Just like that, very easy to engage against, as the other trebuchet for Hera is sitting up in the north. But these light cav, there's nothing right now that's fast enough to keep up with even the hand cannons, let alone the light cav. Light cav will be able to run in, choose exactly where they want to engage, and hit the economy and run away. That is the key to using cavalry against a slow civilization. As we now see Ironclad coming in, and crenellations already in for these castles. Of course, that giving such a huge range to the castles. Good shot there against the light cav, but just so fast, able to swoop in, take out the onager, and run right away. Just leave these Teutonic Knights in the dust. Not too much that I can see with this unit composition beating Franks. Of course, needing to be at a huge number, and more importantly, when you are using the slower units, you need to be picking the fights. You need to be selecting exactly what type of fight you want and where you want to engage, because when you are chasing the enemy with faster units, you will always fall behind further and further the longer the game goes. And And right now, Villese is in no position to be picking the fights. He does have some Teutonic Knights here. They are able to take out the villagers, but do not deny the castle. And that is a big, big loss. You know what? This many Teutonic Knights, if not attacked shortly, they actually might just take out this castle altogether. But still, would have been nice to see it denied right off the bat. And now the range so big for this castle, able to shoot those arrows so far. As the Teutonic Knights take out some more villagers, and now we see, for the first time in the game, Villese villager lead. Of course, when we get to this roll, it's not quite as big of a importance later on in the game when you're a couple villagers ahead. A couple villagers behind doesn't make a huge impact on the game. And these Teutonic Knights will now be going down. They won't be able to do their damage. And we see a bombard cannon coming out. That is a good idea to engage against the onagers from far away. Obviously much stronger against the onagers than what a trebuchet or what the hand cannons might be. And another onager goes down to the light cap. But you know what? Right after that, just a couple more come right out. No problem. But Villese on the back foot, losing this castle, and you can see light cap just streaming right in.
Yeah.
The hand cannon move. Such an expensive unit for the damage output that is done by hand cannons. Not many people believe they're that strong of a unit for that reason at all, because they are so expensive and not able to do quite as much difference as, say, Arbalests can. And just like that, end of the game, we see Villese calls the GG. And with this castle down, light cap could run right in. These stone miners would be all done. And there is nothing really defending the rest of the base other than this castle to the north. So just great pressure, great variety from Hera, and great way to keep the pressure on even after being engaged early on.